Smoke screen him. Watch Viego. Watch Viego. Viego. Guys, I go to triple stun. I go to triple stun on them. Relax it.
We win. Can we look it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I'm igniting. We win this.
Fast fight.
Let's go!
Guys, Rise can ult.
I'm gonna work rip.
Guys, I really want to play through bot since AD has no flash.
I'll keep it top here. No flash.
Oh
my god.
Let's go!
Let's get it.
Go.
Ping, yeah? No, we can fight mid then. Watch me. Yeah, I'm watching. I might look. It's up. No. Okay, we're going.
Smoke screen him. Watch Viego. Watch Viego. Guys, I go to triple stun. On them. Relax it.
We win.
Viego.
Guys, look on the left. Look on. I'm with you, Tristan.
Viego ulted over.
Yeah, it's all
I
you,
can't
man.
run. We see Viego here.
Yeah.
I'm chasing Viego.
I'm chasing with you.
Wing him. He doesn't see anything.
Look up.
Yeah, he doesn't see anything. Go turrets.
And
Let's go, boys.
Let's go, boys.
Oh my god, man.
Fucking take
Nice.
those. The top on the fucking board.
We're on the board! They are on the board, baby! Welcome back to the LCS and the State Farm Analyst Desk, where, yes, Immortals are on the board after picking up their first win just last week against the likes of 100 Thieves. No slouches, as we saw them just pick up a victory against Golden Guardians. Today, though, they go up against an 0-4 TSM, who are looking to put one on the board. But hey, to have taken down the defending champions, they've had a pretty difficult run of it so far, and they finally put a victory up.
Yeah, we're basically at the halfway point of the season, so it's the perfect time to be like, what were people's strength of schedules? And coming in, those are the 4 best teams in the LCS, potentially, based off lock-in tournament. So for Immortals, to take a win over 100 Thieves is actually a pretty positive sign for them, given that they weren't looking good in lock-in. Like, you come out of that stretch 1-3, you're not too upset, because now they're playing TSM and some of the other opponents that they can pick wins up against.
First round robin, not halfway through the
Excuse me,
just
first round robin.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, the point still stands, right? To be 1-3 against this, moving into some of the easier, quote unquote, opponents that you'll have in front of you. This is where, though, there is kind of a different type of pressure to actually find those wins, because these are matchups that you do expect them to be able to handle a little bit better.
And that's where I'm looking at what we did see from the Immortals in their win, and even in their other loss against C9, is they typically have gone for like slower scaling teamfight comps. And if that's what they want to go with, then yes, like, because the other thing I was looking for from this team is like, what is your direction? Like, what are you trying to do? And even, again, in their loss last week, at least I think we saw more of that as well, which is another good sign for them.
Now, all that said, Raz, they're going to be the first of the teams to come up against the new roster, the changed roster for TSM. We talked a little bit about it at the top of the day today. Big news out of the TSM camp is that Shenyi is being moved off the main roster, and Yursan is subbing in after the 4 losses that they've taken so far.
Yeah, and he's been with the TSM Academy for a little while, actually. Was originally laning with Cody-san, who is now doing good things right now in the LFL. And it's fun to watch him play. He is an engaged type player. Like, he initially came in and was all Alistar crazy, and then moved towards the Leonas and all these things to start fights for his team. And so right now, as you can see on the record, it has not been good for them right now in Academy.
Yeah, I mean, so here's the thing. I'm still left with some concerns based on everything that Raz just threw out to me. Because he basically said, okay, you're looking at another engaged support.
Yes.
We just had an engaged support in Shenyi.
Yeah.
And so where are the advantages that Yursan's bringing to the table that Shenyi didn't have?
So here's what I'm gonna bring up, just again, the idea of the support role in the LPL and the LDL as a primary initiator and someone whom your team is rallying around by the act of going in, right? And again, this doesn't always work in LPL either. You still see a lot of supports that are sometimes ahead of their team. But by initiating, it's almost like, it's kind of like a rock star role for across the board for a lot of LPL supports. And I think if they're making this change, then maybe it is an internal communication issue where bringing Yursan in, he doesn't have that same idea of the way that support is going to be played, and so he's going to be more willing to follow other calls on the team, possibly.
Yeah, and this is the beauty of Champions Queue, is that, like, we got to see what Shenyi was able to do and how he communicates with the team there, and he's pretty straightforward on what he wants. He's very clear. So it's always tough. You never know behind the scenes what the concerns were for TSM and how they were playing the game. If and it seems like they need to get that sorted out. And if they think that bringing in Yursan is going to make things easier, then that's not the case. So that's going to be a big question for them coming into this weekend, is if they're just saying, okay, we're losing games, we need to make changes, this is not what's going to make you win more games.
Well, but see, that to me that's the conundrum. If it's not going to make you win more games, then it kind of flies in the face of the idea of developing the roster and giving it time, right? To me, Mark, this feels like a very direct pivot away from, hey, we're rather an approach of let's give time and look to be strong down the line. And it's now a decision to say we need wins now.
Yeah, I think the idea that they are fully a development roster was never the case, and I think people have gone too far with that idea. When you look at reigning MVP, maybe the most storied top laner in the West, potentially with Huni, who has made World Finals and had so many successes. You have Tactical, who's made Worlds the last 2 times, sometimes up and down, but he's no slouch. When you look at those 3 names, this is not a 10th place development hard commit to being near the bottom of the standings. They clearly wanted to actually have good performances, while understanding that it's not going to peak right away. And I think that's where there's this disconnect from fan hearing development roster and maybe what the team is feeling internally, especially if the performance is not good. If the performance is just terrible, then you don't need to pretend like, hey, we're a development roster, because it's just straight up not working. And I think that's the other angle potentially, was that there was not just what does Shenyi bring versus what Yursan brings, but how does the team play with Shenyi? If it's just a fundamental problem, like Emily was highlighting with how they perceive the game, then you're not really going to get over that easily. Yeah, and I can't kind of undersell the idea of the breath of fresh air, which is something that could just be coming in with Yursan, who has not been a part of the five-man core. So him coming in could provide a different perspective, and I'm sure that he's already been trading ideas since they are in the same office space, I believe, right? So I'm interested, and I'm excited for him and his opportunity now in the LCS. So that's one aspect of it.
All right, help me out here. Let's set some metrics by which we can evaluate this change. What would we consider successful? Does it have to be a victory? Because when the team is already winless, it's hard for me to say, you have to have a victory in order to prove to me that it was the right decision. If you've not even put one up yet, is there something before that we see out of Yursan that we feel like is going to start to assuage concerns, or at least give us more justification as to why he's in?
Well, the thing I want to highlight to you is the 2 plays that were just on screen. Top lane, the fact that you have your 2 players who played together last year who speak English, messing up a dive that hard. And there, the 2 LDL prospects in the mid lane, one dropping his ult for pre-fight poke onto a RiftHerald situation, then being followed up on with an ult, shows that people are not approaching the game the same way, even despite language barrier problems. And so for me, when I want to see what they do now with Yursan, is at least get on the same page with your plays. I don't need you to pick up a win right now today in the middle of an extremely volatile week, but I want to see some steps towards progress.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, is more coordination around where you're playing, right? Even in the clip that I was showing in the TSM Golden Guardians game, before the play I highlighted, you have Shenyi going in on the bot side to try to dive that turret before Spica's come around to river. And there was just a lot of fundamental disconnects in their team fighting and when they were going for plays, and also paying attention to stuff like wave management and what was going on elsewhere on the map. So even if they lose today to Immortals, if they look more coordinated around these dives, then that's an incremental step in the right direction.
That's why I'm looking towards their mid-game coordination, because IMT as a team so far have let you go through early game. So if the early game seems pretty uneventful, great. We get to see look at TSM and how they're doing with their new lineup, I guess.
Well, Immortals Progressive, TSM, both teams very hungry to pick up the victories here today, see if they can put them on the board. But at the very least, looking for TSM with this roster adjustment to give us a reason to believe in the synergy, give us something to believe in. Flowers, Azael, we're back over to you for the call.
Thank you very much, Dash. I believe in a good game. That's what I want to see, Mr. Azael. Immortals and TSM, they've both got a bit of a ladder to climb here in the standings. They can both look at each other as a solid opponent to be able to take down. You're not up against one of those top dogs right now. Let's see it.
Yeah, I mean, TSM had never started 0-3 in the LCS before this split. They're now 0-4. If they lose here today, they're 0-5 and they're playing Cloud9 tomorrow, which is pretty tough as far as the opponents do go. Yursan subbing in here for Shenyi, who's kind of being given those extra games in Academy. You know, exactly why that is all happening, we don't know. But TSM Academy is struggling a lot as well. You know, Yursan was 4-14 with them in the Academy scene. So this is not as though this is someone who's dominating Academy and then being moved up to the LCS, which is why it feels like more like a demotion to a lot of people who are kind of talking about it, and more like Shenyi being knocked down rather than Yursan being brought up. But we'll see if TSM can shape up here today, because I do agree with Mark in that this is not really like a full development team. You have the friggin' reigning MVP on your squad, right?
Yeah.
Tactical is coming back from Worlds. You know, like there's a lot of experience, a lot of success that these guys have had over the years, and you really want to see them make good on that, have some strong individual games. Going to be interested to see if they mix things up, even just as far as the champions and the setup. Like, do you play towards Spica and just try to enable your MVP and say, hey, carry us to some wins here?
Well, let's go ahead. Let's get through it a little bit. Champion Select is already underway. It's Corki, Caitlyn, and Tom Kench banned out by TSM. Zeri and Gwen remain banned on red side. Karma's going to be the third one. First pick, Jinx for TSM. Answer from Immortals is Aphelios with the Thresh this time. They wanted that pairing, with the response being Orianna and a Lulu on the side of TSM.
This could be roaming top Lulu again. Remember, Huni actually did already play that for them once, so they're picking it early here, but it's a flex. And we might get to see PowerOfEvil playing the Ahri. This should be really exciting.
Let's go.
The new Ahri is very, very powerful with the kill reset, you know, giving you the additional charges on that ultimate. In extended fights can get a tremendous amount of value. And PoE has actually tweeted about this reworked Ahri a lot, about how he's doing well on it, and obviously some fun clips with it, and just like, he clearly likes the pick. He's playing it a lot. It has been banned against him previously, so gonna get to see if he can perform here. And now the jungler's starting to get focused. J4 banned away, you know, expecting that Immortals would grab that as their next pick. Olaf, the response here for Spica, who has been good on those dominating style champions. And it's also a pairing that is really strong with Lulu and Ori, whether it's top Lulu or support, doesn't matter. You know, I might expect to see something like a Xin Zhao ban as well. I think that pairs also really, really well alongside the Olaf with these enablers. The question now becomes, you know, where does Spica take it if you want to go for these aggressive picks? Because you can go Lee Sin, but Lee Sin doesn't have the kind of consistent damage that you're really looking for with that style.
Right.
You can go Poppy that he's already played, but again, that doesn't really fit into that same kind of benchmark. So now you're more in, if you're going towards the traditional junglers, maybe a Viego or something could fit into that as far as someone who's high damage.
Hecarim locked in here for the
dive.
side of Immortals. Yes, some powerful dive. We've seen the modern day Hecarim builds that have the Kim tank with the Muramana that he's also able to stack up the tier by doing the helicopter with. Very, very powerful stuff there if he's able to get ahead. We already know that Hecarim is one of those champions that is very oppressive when ahead. If Xerxe can get off the races with this, it's scary stuff.
Oh, okay. Back to something a little bit more old school. So going towards the Udyr. And if they do go for the Nautilus here, I believe this is the most played. So yeah, it's going to be roaming top again.
Okay.
And we'll see if they can actually make it work a little bit better this time around. Most played for Yursan in Academy was the Nautilus. So he is getting comfort here. And we have to find out, can they improve on what they actually showed last time, where they lost in this kind of awkward base race scenario. And honestly, Huni did not look that good on the Lulu top.
And I really like the Camille pick here from Immortals as the answer. Camille is a powerful split push option, the ability to always have the Sheen item. She loves prioritizing this, how effective she can be knocking down turrets with it, along with the fact that her ulti is a no, you're 4 levels under me and it's time to die button. And that means that if they ever manage to catch Huni out of position, which can happen sometimes, we know Huni plays it a little fast and loose here and there on League of Legends and Summoner's Rift.
He's been known to do a little trolling.
Maybe known for a little trolling here and there. It means that the punishment is guaranteed.
Yeah, and I just think that you're going to play Cole Camille, you're going to scale to infinity, getting free plates in the side lane, being able to have that, you know, as a last pick is very, very powerful. The engage tools, even if you group with Hecarim, Ahri, Camille, is very, very strong to lock down someone like the Jinx, have the CC of that Hecarim fear, Ahri flying in over top, trying to burst them down. But I don't think you need to group. I really think people are getting baited into grouping against these roaming and shader comps, where if they create a massive advantage through walking down side lanes, and then they think they're far enough ahead that they can group, enchanters don't care how far ahead you are.
That's the game they want to play
in 5v5. So if you get way ahead by playing side lane on the Camille, I would like to see them close the game through split push. Don't group. Refuse to play their game. Just kill the towers. Force them to respond to you. because when you're talking in the later stages of the game, if Camille's on, 2 full items, there's just no one on TSM that can answer you in a 1v1 whatsoever. So you're gonna have to send multiple members, and then that opens up opportunities for your team to make cross-map plays if they're overloading the side where revenge is. So it's gonna be an interesting one. Really gonna have to track what Huni is able to get done.
Oh, yeah.
He started a pink here, defensive pink plus the spell thief, so pretty standard. A lot of people will just skip the pots, but how he wants to play this out exactly is going to be interesting. I think they might go for some sort of an invade. You can see Huni off the recall heading towards bot. I think they're going to try to enforce their will, utilize Udyr, Jinx, as well as this Nautilus that has really strong level 1s to try to start their blue and set up for a 3-quadrant play.
Exactly. Udyr's always been one of those junglers that has fast pacing early. He can be scary to deal with, and with this strategy enabling him even further, I would hate to see TSM not take advantage of that early on. Here we go. Delayed invade coming out in the enemy bot side jungle here, and you can see the audible being called from Immortals. They're moving Xerxe and Revenge into the enemy jungle. They're not trying to contest this. I think this is absolutely the right call.
He was spotted though, so they have full knowledge of this, and the question is, where will they go from here? Because, he actually got spotted on that river ward. Yeah. That was pre-placed, so this ward spotted him moving in. They know that he's going to be doing this 2-camp start. This is pretty standard stuff from Hecarim. If you're going to be starting on that side of the map, you pull the Gromp as well as the blue together. You can kind of do that double camp style. You do get a little bit low, but nice early hook. And, they just want a level 2 dive here. They're going to push it in and just go for a dive right off the bat.
Crash the wave and go for the 4v2 play underneath the turret at level 1. Turtle with the flash away. The flash follow comes out, but it's still first blood over to Immortals here in a 1-for-1 trade so far. Destiny falls. It'll be a 2-for-1 for TSM.
That is super worth. I love that adaptation, knowing that Hecarim's going to be on the other side of the map. They just force a play instantaneously. Hard shove here at level 1. Nautilus walking past the wave. I'm going to direct your eyes to one number on the screen.
Let's see it, sir.
And it's that one.
Oh, it's a big old donut.
It's a donut. There's no farm on Turtle. And now they're going to proxy the wave here. Hex Flash is being threatened by Yursan, so you can't even walk up. Another wave is going to get denied.
I like this.
Will be free farming, but I love this. This is smart stuff here to circumvent the whole situation.
This
and
is
at the
beautiful.
same time, Huni's gotten up towards top. So you have Huni up here collecting farm. He needs to do that just to get the experience even. Yes, he doesn't have any gold. Who cares? They're just basically playing a 3-man bot and trying to really screw over this Aphelios. It will put Spica down as far as like his pacing.
Yeah.
But because the Hecarim had a weird start himself, it's not like he got to do a 6-camp clear, right? He got to do 3 enemy camps with a baby leech from his Camille and then walk back to his own blue quadrant. So really, really cool stuff. I like this adaptation. But I will say, it kind of gives me that like sick feeling in my stomach. I'm like, oh, it's actually just lane swap meta, isn't it?
Yeah, a little bit.
It's actually just lane swap meta, where we're playing lane swap meta, and the top laner forgot that he can't lane 1v4. Like, they stayed, and they just said, well, we're just going to play how you used to play an old school lane swap. You overload one side, and if they don't leave, you dive them. And that's exactly what happened to WildTurtle and Destiny, and this is giving me absolute deja vu and throwbacks to when we saw lane swap evolve on stage, and it was like, what if you just defended with less people? And then it turned out, well, they bring one more and they dive you, and then you're like, what if I just didn't lane till 10 minutes,
What's that old school quote? Those who do not learn from history are doomed to repeat it. We've lost those old VoDs so far back now that it's not fresh in players' memories, so now they're able to be blindsided by it.
Really cool.
It works out great for TSM, man. This is the kind of thing we wanted to see. The desk was talking about how they wanted to see a more coordinated TSM.
Yep.
Well, 4v2 diving 2 dudes at level 1 is coordination in my book.
Yeah, that is great stuff. And yes, they are going to lose one person to it, but who cares? Huni died. You gave over first blood. That's not the greatest, but it went to Thresh. So again, who cares?
Yes,
right?
doesn't matter.
It doesn't really matter. It just kind of equates in boots. PowerOfEvil though. Nice little chunk there on Keaiduo.
Yep. Huni roams over to help him, but hey, it doesn't really matter too much.
Yep, exactly. Huni's just going to be kind of walking back and forth here. And Spica's going to be looking to fight, anytime he can find someone. But I think Xerxe is doing the correct thing. You cannot contest, so you cross map. You just go over here, you steal these camps. This whole section of the map is no longer yours, right? You cannot play, let alone just into the Udyr. You lose that 1v1 every single time.
Oh, yeah.
But when there's extra people there as the Hecarim, your only option is to cross map. So I think he is doing it pretty intelligently. They're going to look to try to set up another dive here potentially, but
Oh my goodness, nice little bit of fighting back coming out from Destiny and
Interesting push,
Turtle.
man.
But there comes the blast cone. Turtle and Destiny still holding their own, still trying to defend themselves here. Keaiduo coming down. We'll see if that Orianna can get involved here and make anything else happen. But it looks like they don't want to go for a full-on another dive. Instead, they're going to continue focusing on everything early that they can. The first Drake here being started up 5.5 minutes in.
yeah, and that's smart stuff. I mean, Xerxe was down there to cover. That dive would not have worked at all. They're going to try to contest this. So Spica is getting pretty low, and Xerxe is trying to threaten with the E plus Smite combo. So more TSM members need to get over, but Spica's getting so low. He could
Spica is down to 100 HP. That one's going to be smited and secured by TSM. Nicely done.
Yeah, using the double smite there. Good job by Huni as well as Spica. Just coordinating to actually finish off that dragon. Make sure nothing went awry. And Huni right back to pushing on this bottom side, trying to harass. We'll see how good of a job he can actually do it, proccing the Spell Thieves, because getting that early Sight Zone upgrade is pretty important. He's about a third of the way through here, so pretty slow as far as the pacing for now. It is actually pretty important to find opportunities, just walk up and hit towers and stuff with the Spell Thieves to really get that online, because if you're not getting kills and assists, that's your gold for the early game. And getting the second Sight Zone is a powerful part of this kind of strategy. You know, it's huge. It's really back to the double Sight Zone with junglers that we used to see. You can kind of maintain full vision control, which allows your jungler, who's supposed to be way ahead, to kind of snowball the game.
And it plays into the fact that when you opt into this strategy of a smite top support, the pressure's on you to create the situations that you need in the game state. Because if you're not doing that, the game will naturally evolve to a point where they still have 5 players and you've essentially got 4 of them, right? With an extra polymorph or an extra Janna shield or whatever. It's still not a
4 of them
full-on
and a big hat.
Yeah, you got 4 of them and your buddy's little brother who tagged along. Hey, we'll give you a controller that may or may not be plugged in. That's sort of where you're at. So I need to see TSM keep up this pressure. I need to see TSM keep up this flow. The gold is currently almost a 1,000 lead for Immortals. That's going to shrink up here as some of those waves get farmed up a little bit. And continue to keep your eyes on Revenge, who has taken that top lane turret down to a single plate. TSM does not want to lose first turret here, so they're going to swap their bottom laners up here into the top side. Immortals will respond in kind, and Revenge will get to work doing the same thing bottom that he was doing top, but TSM's going to be doing the same thing top they were doing bottom. Let's see if they can do it here in a 4v3. Doesn't look like it. Nice wave clear from Immortals. The wave clear is not present at level 1, but now that we've gotten to level 4, gotten to level 5, especially with Aphelios having the Infernum, it makes it that much easier to nuke the wave and stay safe.
And Xerxe has been really good at actually covering the dives at the right timings without completely destroying his own game, right? You know, he's actually been keeping up a good amount of farm, even though he has to cross map. And I think we might just be getting a Hullbreaker rush from Revenge. Like, you could just go straight Hullbreaker and just walk down the side lane the whole game and force them to respond to you. And I really do feel strongly that that is the play. And it's exceptionally hard to actually answer from TSM. You know, it's going to be them trying to force through objective stacking if that is the route that Revenge does want to go. You know, he has the call. He's already farmed 3 plates bot, plus he farmed, I think, 3 plates, if not 4 plates solo top. So, like, he's going to have a ton of gold here when he cashes out. And TSM's trying to kind of battle back on that. You know, they don't need to be dead even in gold, because even though, you know, it is Huni being kind of like half a champion, if you want to call it that, enchanters just don't need a lot of gold to function.
Right.
Like, once they get their 1 item, they are pretty much good to go, as silly as it is. You know, you just get a Moonstone or you get a Shirelia's and you're feeling good about your spot in the game. You don't really need more than that.
Well, Revenge, even though he had to move to a different location, he took 4 plates from the top turret. He took all 5 plates and first turret bonus here in the bottom lane. This is what I was saying, how I love this Camille pick into this composition. She can do this so effectively here in the side lane. You saw when TSM was pushing top, they got the Herald. They were trying to beat him to the punch a little bit there.
Ritual is in every.
Holy smoke, man! That's a very wealthy man.
There, Flowers.
Golly, Azael, that
would you
is
look
a
at that?
rich solo laner.
Mr. Moneybags up there.
Yeah.
He's got the Hullbreaker. So it is, in fact, Hullbreaker rush. Walk it down side lane, baby. Get the value there. Buff up those minions. Bonus damage to the towers. It's going to be feeling really, really good.
And TSM, of course, will be able to respond. They'll use that Rift Herald here in the bottom lane. They'll get the money onto Tactical. They'll take down a turret of their own. But here's where things feel like they start to get a little tough for me for a lot of these teams that are running the Smite top strategy is, all right, you had a nice early start with a couple of plays, but it didn't turn into a total avalanche.
Yeah.
And now you're dealing with the fact that there is this fed split pusher. I want to see how TSM answers.
And I mean, I think their hope is just going to be less about blowing out the early game, because obviously that's not going to happen in this one, and more just, hey, we just have better 5v5 comp. We have Orianna Jinx with 2 frontliners who have good engage and an enchanter. And usually you cannot craft that composition, because usually if you take the engaged support, you don't get the enchanter. That's one of the kind of valuable things here, is that they have high DPS mid laner that's magic damage, high DPS bot laner that's physical damage, 2 tanks / engage, and an enchanter, right? And it just makes you have this kind of like ultimate juggernaut 5v5. So the question is, can they continue taking these dragons on spawn and force Immortals' hand? Or can Immortals get so rich that by the time they actually do come to a dragon, they just have, you know, this revenge Camille that's 3,000-4,000 gold ahead individually, and he just flashes onto Tactical with his ultimate and Hecarim coming through and one-shots the Jinx, then the game ends.
Yeah, one-shot him through the Lulu, through the Orianna shields, whatever. If Camille's that far ahead,
Yep.
Q2 being in Cho'Gath ult is a meme for a reason, right? Like, there's a little truth in the joke there.
There's a little more than a little truth sometimes.
But what we are looking at is a TSM that does have 2 Drakes already under their belt 11.5 minutes into the game. Against these strategies, taking even a single Drake is so important for the other team to just slow down that soul, slow down that pace. Now, of course, this time around, TSM's not super happy to see that the soul is the Cloud Soul as opposed to something like an Infernal, like a Hex Soul, like what you were talking about, but they still need to keep that control over the neutrals.
And flat move speed is still super valuable for a lot of these champions. You know, I think that is kind of the most overlooked part of it. People talk about, hey, LT CDR is not that good, and you know, the kind of boost in move speed when you go into ultimate is only, it's situationally good. For some champions, it's amazing. For others, it's trash.
Right.
But 10% flat move speed is still very powerful, but definitely not the one you were hoping for if you are TSM or a TSM fan. Revenge, already 2 fully completed items. So, you know, it's kind of fun playing these games. Like, you just get to be Thanos, right?
Yeah.
You're just stomping ants when you're playing the 1v0 game as a scaling champion, because you're not supposed to be allowed to have a 12-minute 2 items with 0 kills, right?
No, it's not.
It just doesn't happen.
The normal path.
So we'll see what he does with it. This is where I think sometimes people get in trouble, where it's like, you have all the gold, so you start feeling pressured. You're like, that 3rd Drake's coming up. Maybe I better make a play. Maybe I should go group. Maybe I should do something. But I really would just like to see them get vision on a side. You know, they already have a fair bit on that bottom side. So, you know, look towards this quadrant of the map. Try to get some deep vision in this area. Start to threaten tier 2s. If they start to look for objective plays, maybe you have to kind of respond to that. But generally, you want them to respond to you, which buys your team time to set up around the dragon, set up around the Baron, get the wards down, you know, and really be the first one to take that swing.
The way that I look at it right now with TSM having the 2 Drakes is the earliest they could possess that soul is about 8 minutes, a little bit more than that, counting respawn timers and whatnot from now. That means Revenge has 8 minutes to continue knocking down all this stuff, doing whatever he needs to do, building that gold lead, and playing the opposite of what TSM wants. But right now, PowerOfEvil will be the one pressuring the tier 1 here in mid lane. Nobody's around to defend that one. So much of these Smite top strategies involve rolling around as a death ball, finding plays to make as a team, which can leave these turrets undefended.
Exactly. You know, this is the problem, is that Huni can't answer it. So you send the Orianna bot to actually answer that. Well, guess what happens here? Now mid lane is exposed. So Spica has to cover that, because he's the only other guy that can cover that. You can't send the Jinx solo to cover. So you're just trying to peel them apart. Now Revenge moves up, and you're just playing like a split push macro style game where he moves up to mid. Spica cannot threaten them 1v2. In fact, he's just going to die potentially under tower. He gets away, but that means this tower is going to be just knocked down there. Now Revenge get back out to that side lane, draw someone there, and just rinse and repeat, because they do not have the champions to match lane assignments in any meaningful way. It's very, very difficult. Orianna can stand defensively and try to kite it back, but geez.
Flash away there, immediately getting that summoner spell. And this is what I mean by the threat of the Camille. Not only is she a good split pusher, but the fact that when she joins the team, she immediately poses that, no, you will die if I ult you type of a threat.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, you look at the itemization, you have to respect it as Keaiduo. You know, he's high on health. You might say, well, that was kind of a silly flash. Yeah, but he doesn't even have an item, and the guy has 2, right? Like,
Yeah, you've got a lost chapter, dude. This guy's got 2 items. He's gonna beat the snot out of you.
you have no defensive stats here at all. Like, you've got your Merc Treads for tenacity, but that's not going to do anything for you.
Nah.
No HP built up, right? So it is very, very dangerous playing against him. And they're kind of just sending Spica to collect waves because at least Udyr can't get one-shot, but it does become difficult. Objective bounties, though, are available for TSM, and this is one of the things that is going away on the next patch. It's on live now, where it's a lot more difficult for those bounties to actually spawn, and they're kind of worth less and so on. Because this strategy does really kind of abuse the objective bounty mechanics in that it's expected that Huni has less gold. He functions with less gold.
Right.
But as a result, the Orianna and the Jinx, who can already be up on gold, can benefit from objective bounties, where in a normal game, it's not really supposed to work.
It's not the
like that.
intended design of the mechanism. It's a loophole.
It's a clever loophole.
Yeah. But let's see what this Drake fight is going to look like, because
They're going to give it up, and now I just think TSM is probably going to lose.
I was going to say, Isaac, it looks like TSM is nowhere in the neighborhood here. Revenge is hovering around the pit. That's the most important player in the game right now.
Yeah. It's tough, man, because
PowerOfEvil jumps into what ends up being a 1 versus 3. Has to flash back out to avoid the counter engage from Yursan, but now PowerOfEvil goes back in. What the hell was that? PowerOfEvil. That was a little too hypey, buddy.
That was way too hypey, because they actually peeled off the dragon to go help him. Not only did he die, they'll lose the objective bounty on the tower. That is a big deal for them. At the very least, Revenge is pushing bot side, so he's going to take down the tier 2, so they will trade for it. And they still should be able to actually get that dragon. But it's a bit concerning because you give up that death, you give over a kill right where they need it onto tactical. You get the objective bounty on the tower. You get the objective bounty as well on the Herald. And that's likely going to lead you to a 3rd objective bounty where you crash that mid and get even more gold. So that does put their teamfighting comp at a much better spot than they were just in. So, trying to look for that aggressive play, but you have to respect the power of those enchanters. It's not easy, just 100-0 tactical whatsoever. And in fact, they didn't even force a sum.
I don't know why he went back in. Like, he had flashed, he had disengaged, you had avoided the fact that you're surprised by now there's 3 players, but your own guys, even if they're coming, they're not. They're fast enough. Just big error.
Like he was getting a bit hypey, right? He's trying to go for that play, but did not work out at all.
Okay. Here comes Revenge. Can you find anybody here not quite in range to issue a Hex Tech ultimatum? So that means that they'll all just back away. Revenge still working towards that 3rd item here. Has Sunderer, has Hullbreaker. We saw him get the solo kill in the tier 2 bot. Has the ward, so he won't be caught off guard here by Spica and Yursan. But we are now at that point. I'm going to go back to what you said earlier when when that 3rd Drake was about to spawn. TSM didn't contest it. You're like, okay, this feels really bad for TSM now. Are we sort of just waiting on the Jinx carry at this point? Is this just the Jinx show? 3 items?
I mean, I think that's always kind of been what it is at the end of the day. Whether they enable that by going for fights around objectives, we're going to get a TP flank, but it doesn't look like the rest of the team is actually in position to go for this. So PowerOfEvil is here, but there's no objective to fight for. TSM will walk out. Looks like Immortals want to try to corral them, though, and find some sort of a 5v5, but they are very split. They're kind of on 3 prongs right now.
Okay, Immortals is coming around, but they go around over 2 different control wards. TSM is up here, and it looks like we might just get ourselves a 5v5. Tier 2 turret taken down. Flame Chompers doing a great job keeping Immortals from engaging while the turret is still alive. Immortals are looking for their moment. Tactical is the key player here on TSM. He's the one with the damage. Xerxe goes in for a big multi-man. Fear of the damage starts pouring out. Spica's going to be taken here at the start with Keaiduo already dead. 2 dead on TSM, 3 dead on TSM. They're trying to fire back. Tactical's got the rockets, but they don't do it. Xerxe will ride down Huni. Get over here, you little Roman support, and get the hell out of my jungle. Ace for Immortals.
Immortals find the fight there. The perfect engage from Xerxe. They corral them back. And on the Bud Light Ace, we can see it one more time. Xerxe's just wrapping around the outside here. And as this TSM, they realize they're pinned in, so they try to run through him. But the multi-man Fear, and look at Keaiduo. Fear towards the tower. Xerxe spots it immediately. Ease him into the tower, so the tower damage onto the Orianna. He's gonna go down in a hurry, and from there, Immortals just pouring forward. They get the root into the charm. They knock down Tactical. They get so many members there, and we're gonna see what else they got on the map when we come back out of this replay. That is huge for Immortals, and a picture-perfect engage there from Xerxe.
Vindication for a jungler forced out of his jungle in the
jungler
early
scored.
game. This is the revenge. He has been biding his time for this long, and that onslaught of shadows was perfectly done to set the team up for success. And I did want to point out at the very end there, when we saw Tactical with the wild growth on him trying to fight back, WildTurtle was down to 1 hit. He had 100 health left, but they chained the CC, they did it perfectly. Jinx never got excited, and TSM got wiped.
Yeah, that was really, really nice. And man, that's rough for TSM. The hopes in the game definitely get a lot more bleak after that one. The revenge of Xerxe, though, you said it. Hell hath no fury like a Hecarim counter jungle. He's been biding his time.
Oh, he's ready, man. And you can see here, he's got the Spirit Visage. He's got the Trinity Force, 3, 0, and 2. Oh, now Immortals are starting up the Baron. TSM, they don't have any men nearby. Orianna's all the way down in the bottom part of the map. Keaiduo, of course, does have the teleport ready to join up with this. Immortals are demanding that TSM answers. They'll already get the teleport out now. Immortals backing away. They're saying, hey, we got what we needed. All we needed was the teleport. This can set Revenge up for success yet again. We'll see if they really want to go for a fight after this. They don't really have a whole lot of vision in here. WildTurtle will be the one to clear out that ward. Don't put anybody else in danger. Immortals now has the faster path to the mid lane. That means they'll get the tier 2 turret there. So nicely done, Immortals. They may not get a single kill. They might not get a whole lot of battle. But hey, you got the teleport, you got the tier 2 turret, that's a big win.
Their macro has actually been really clean. I love how they're playing out this game. You know, Revenge is grouping just enough to still keep pressure on the side lanes, but not completely neglect the team, so he's had a really good balance. And you push out there, you start up the Baron, because Keaiduo is showing bot, you know he has TP, you get the TP off him, now you play with TP advantage, because TSM only has the one since Huni's running Smite. Now PowerOfEvil can go push out bot, and Revenge can actually group until his teleport is available. And you can keep kind of ping-ponging them across the map, forcing someone from TSM to always be answering in the side lanes. Another dragon gonna go the way here of Immortals, so Soul is a lost cause now for TSM.
Long gone.
And it's really tough because it's not even gonna be a Soul for Immortals where you can then say, oh, maybe we can get like an Elder fight and win the game that way, because that's kind of pushed back here as well. So TSM just gonna continue scaling. All hopes really on Tactical here, but nice charm.
Weaved it right through the minions. And honestly, because you're talking about this coordination and this macro play and all of this, I love this for Immortals, because that's what the problem seemed to be for me in the first couple of weeks. And what we saw in lock-in is you've got experienced players, right? Like, you've got all these guys that you would expect to be able to form a coherent team in League of Legends, and they weren't on the same page. It seemed like some people were going in, other people were still on the way. It was messy, but this is clean, and this is a great sign moving forward for this.
This is really clean. They do have to close it out. We have seen a lot of games against these kind of compositions, these Roam Smite tops, where people are massively ahead, and then it just turns out drafting really good 5v5, they find the one fight, the hyper carry takes over, and it's GG, right? And so they have got to be careful about that, but Revenge is monstrously ahead of the pace of the game. He already has his Titanic, which gives you super crazy burst when you have that Q2 plus the Sheen proc, plus the Titanic proc. It's an incredible amount of burst that you can have. And as his TP is coming back up, now they rotate PowerOfEvil over to be with the team. Revenge takes his spot down on the bot side. And this is just really, really smooth stuff. You know, they're finding these angles to push out sides constantly. They now have 2 TPs to 0 up right now. And you can see TSM is having to answer waves, which kind of loses their pressure in these lanes. And even the Jinx ult has to actually start, you know, being used for scouting, which means Immortals are in such a great spot. They have this 3-man, 4-man squad threatening. No one can answer Revenge. So now you get off the Baron and you let Revenge do the work. Just peel off this. There's no reason to commit to this.
Immortals backing away here. PowerOfEvil steps off with the rest. Everybody's fine. Everybody's fine. They don't have to worry about this at all.
Gone.
Revenge is doing the work bottom lane. TSM has no answer. Keaiduo's the closest. He can't teleport to the fight if a fight would happen up here. He can't deal with Revenge in a 1v1. No shot.
Other teams, take note. This is how you dismantle this strategy. Now guess what? Keaiduo comes down, you start the Baron again, because Revenge can TP to join. If they engage on this, Revenge is going to TP flank them, and Orianna won't be there.
Now, Xerxe is a little bit hurt here, so he'll have to eat all of the honey fruits in the river. He'll be able to get some of that health back. Yursan's now alone with the rest of TSM trying to push up the wave here in mid. TSM have still not taken out that tier 1 turret in mid lane. Xerxe, he'll back away from that ward there. The Chompers do not arm in time. And the Immortals gold lead builds up to almost 7,000 now.
And now it's so hard for them to play topside because there's going to be the threat of the supers constantly. And guess what they do? Back to the Baron. Force him to come. Force him to respond. Anytime someone shows bot, you start Baron. You say, all right, time to group up. Get over here. Bot wave will be pushed in. Revenge is here to threat.
Okay, we've got the Ahri getting away. Power of Evil is just fine here, but the Baron will drop. Whenever Aphelios has the Chakrams ready, they can take that down so incredibly quickly. Baron over to Immortals. Now's the time where we really get to see how well they're going to work as a team to go aggressive on the macro. They've already got one inhibitor gone. I think this could just be going for the throat right now.
I think so too. I mean, this is pretty much picture perfect. I think you send Revenge, bot is going to push naturally, put Revenge mid, have the 4-man squad top. You can kind of have a roam squad, in between those lanes up on the top side. If you have people pushing here, you have people pushing here, bot's going to push naturally, and then you kind of have this area, in the middle where multiple members can kind of bounce back and forth between those lanes and really escort them in. In this case, they're actually sending Revenge bot to try to threaten the Nexus towers, so he can really draw someone away. And if you want to go for this setup, then you have Xerxe pushed in mid, your 3-man squad goes top, Revenge pushes in bottom, and as soon as someone answers the wave that is going to be threatening the Nexus towers, well, then the 4-man squad pushes in to try to threaten the inhibitor tower there. So really smart stuff again here from Revenge and Immortals as a whole, and we'll see how they can actually line up these mini waves kind of for maximum effect.
Well, the doomsday clock is about 11:55 p.m., my friend, for the side of TSM. They've got to hold the line here. Pretty much what you've got is what you're going to have for the fight now. There's no more time to scale up. There's no more time to say, hey, we just need to complete another item. TSM, let's see how well they can do
this. To the towers at the exact same time. That's why Revenge was not autoing the mini wave, by the way. To actually sync this up so they're all coming at the same time. Really good stuff, but they're looking for the engage.
They look for it top, but they can't find it. Instead, they take a bunch of damage in return. Tacticals at 1/3 HP, Huni's half. Wild Growth was not used. That's very important. Turrets being pressured, mid and top. Mid lane's just constantly being chunked away by that little cannon minion.
They're going to lose all their towers.
Has already made his way towards the Nexus turrets. Mid lane tier 3 is down with the inhibitor now exposed. Power of Evil will put the last bit of damage into that, and then you're going to have 2 lanes of super minions spawning. Tactical moves over, but even the cannon minion alone doesn't require Power of Evil's auto attacks to take down that inhib. Meanwhile, hope y'all didn't forget about Revenge, because he's still leading the charge here bottom lane. Keaiduo will do whatever he can to try to clear this out, but now Power of Evil is freed up to join in as well, and the first Nexus turret falls. 2 turrets left in the TSM base. One guarding the inhibitor top that's half dead. One guarding the Nexus, still mostly full HP. TSM, they know this fight is coming, and if they do not execute perfectly, the game is over.
Absolutely, and they're the ones that have to force. If you don't force, Immortals has no reason to fight. You never fight here if you're Immortals unless you find a free win there. Oh, Turtle almost burst down by Tactical. That was really close.
Tactical, some nice rocket crits there, nearly killing off the enemy AD carry. Revenge has to get away now as Yursan goes for the ulti on the split pusher. Revenge with that stasis, gonna get away. He's barely left alive, but the zap gets him. The shutdown, the first death of the game on Revenge, will save TSM's life for now.
Buys him a little bit of time there, trying to dive Spica. A bit overzealous. You can slow play it. You don't need to force. But because they have control of this area, we'll see if they can still get that dragon. They should be starting it up here. Aphelios needs to get down here and just try to burst it out quick, but it looks like TSM, with no vision in this quadrant, aren't even going to try again. Because you've been pinned into your base, they're just trying to get some vision out on the map. They're trying to say, all right, Baron's going to be the next objective again. Dragon, assuming, is going over to the other team. So they're up here in this section, trying to get some wards down, trying to extend that area, maybe get some sort of a pick, but it's a very, very difficult game to play from here.
Man.
And when you talk about Cloud value, some of the best champions in the game for Cloud on the other side. Hecarim gets his damage from it, and also the move speed boost off of your ult is great. Ahri as well is so slippery with that additional boost of movement speed. You can R forward, have the move speed boost, actually sidestep a hook to close the gap for a charm. Things like this are really, really powerful.
Okay, TSM, they're trying to push back out of the base, get these waves as far out as they can get them. Fortunately, TSM did not lose all 3 inhibitors. The bottom lane inhibitor has now respawned as well, so it's not like they're totally trapped in the base under the pressure of the super minions. They're trying to... Oh, no! PowerOfEvil one-shots Huni with the combo. Let him know with the thumbs up, and it's 5v4 for the next 30 seconds.
And that is really great patience. He waited for so long. It's that one ward over the wall right here was spotting what TSM were doing. They were never aware of Ahri because they don't have deep vision whatsoever. So now you're down 4v5. PowerOfEvil will push in bot. You push in mid. Revenge is threatening top. You can try to move forward and potentially take down that bottom inhibitor here. Huni does have a pretty low death timer, so there's one thing working for them, but if you send too many members down here to actually respond to this, well, Revenge is going to take your top tower.
The big thing for me is even though the death didn't give them a team fight or another immediate objective, it gave them a map state that feels like 2 super minions in every lane. They were immediately forced back within their own wall.
And it allowed them to clear out all vision again, right? Because, you know, I highlighted when TSM moved out and actually got that big section of wards. The only thing they have is now that super deep ward, and Spica will survive, but I mean, just barely. They've got, again, no wards in the Baron area. Baron's up here in 19 seconds, and Xerxe's threatening a flank. If you overpush your PowerOfEvil's on the side, Revenge can come in as well.
Oh, they're ready. They're ready to go. PowerOfEvil said, all right, it's time to do it. Xerxe's ready to follow up. Destiny's going to be your target here at the start, but now the cavalry has arrived. Destiny's going to die first, and Xerxe can't let it kill the Tactical. Tactical gets out of the way. TSM, nice counterpoint.
They're going to go for Baron here now. That is huge. The Gale Force play there from Tactical, dodging the engage. Yursan buying so much time as well, slowing down Xerxe. TSM probably can take Baron here straight up, but it is going to be 2 soul laners in the base, and they can try to threaten a kill and potentially even an end here. If TSM can't actually finish that Baron and get back, Yursan has to come.
Oh, man, if this was in the before times, the whole arena would be screaming TSM off of that one. Beautifully done from Tactical there to outplay him and slay him, and now they got the Baron to buy a bit more time. Overzealous attempt from Immortals, nice punish from TSM, and the game goes on.
And Tactical was already on 5 items here, plus the stopwatch. He may very well be on 6 items after this. With the bounty picked up there, all the additional farm that he's actually got, he's got to be getting close to that GA, if not already having enough gold. We can watch this one more time. It's really about the bodyguard play here. They sweep it out, and Xerxe says, all right, let's go. Destiny, though, almost knocked down immediately. Turtle can't close the gap here. Yursan peels Xerxe out perfectly. Then the root there onto PowerOfEvil. Didn't see the chompers, I believe it was. So he gets rooted up. He can't close the gap. Everyone gets peeled off. And Tactical with a beautiful Gale Force to dodge the ulti.
Look at the itemization of Spica, Mikhail's Crucible, and Knight's Vow. These are not normal Udyr items. This is, yes, Mr. Tactical. How would you like it cooked, Mr. Tactical?
Bodyguard
no
the president.
problem, Mr. Tactical.
He's diving in front of us. Man down.
PowerOfEvil's gone for Keaiduo, though, and a nice catch on the TSM mid laner could spell the doom of this defense. But it's a base race. Are we really going to do this here and now? PowerOfEvil will make his way back.
They're going to go for the win.
TSM's going for it here. They're saying this is our shot. This is the chance. Let's go. Tactical's got the Guardian Angel. Revenge still in the enemy base.
He TP'd too late.
He TP'd to the turret. The turret, could this happen? TSM's going for the throat. They're going for the end. The turret is about to die. Nexus turret is gone. TSM still leading the way. Immortals defending the Nexus now, but it's 4-4. TSM's going for the end. Tactical's under pressure. Wild Growth keeps him alive. Tactical being focused, but not enough from the maw of death. Rises TSM, and they will defeat Immortals at the finish line!
It's a quadra kill for Tactical! It's TSM on the board here! What a comeback off of a couple team fights there. TSM gets the maximum, and that is always the terrifying thing about these style of compositions. You make that one mistake, 30 minutes of perfect macro play is gone. TSM outplays in that middle team fight, able to survive, able to get the kills, able to take the Baron, and then pushing forward there, knowing the limits. Tactical with the summoners available, and the whole team behind him. I mean, he was the team. 11 kills, For TSM, 9 of them on tactical. More kills than the entire enemy team. It was all about him in those final moments. The builds were there to enable him, and they're able to execute in what was an incredibly close finish there. And that has got to be such a huge sigh of relief for the TSM squad.
But at the same time, an absolute crushing defeat for Immortals, who, as you said, played the macro game. They played the strategy so damn well for so damn long. It reminds me of one of those clips that you've seen of a race of a runner thinking they're all the way out in first and they stop to celebrate as they cross the tape. But the tape was not crossed by Immortals, my friend. No. Holy moly, what an ending for a game that looked almost surely decided. But TSM managing to get the Baron, managing to get the outplay on the botched engage in mid, getting the Jinx to 6 items. They did it.
It is crazy, man. And I swear, anytime you think you have a good team fight when you're playing against these comps, it's a bait. It's just a bait. You never want to take the 5v5. You never want to take the team fight, ever. They played it almost perfectly, I thought. This was really, really, really good macro from Immortals, but they try to take that one fight. It goes bad. Game's over. Thanks for trying.
That's League of Legends, my friends, and now it's time to join the carry himself, the man of the hour, the man with the power, Mr. Tactical, and LeTigress on stage for the Verizon post-game interview.
Yeah, I can feel the energy emanating from this side of the stage after that game. So, Tactical, I first have to ask you, walk me through denying the attempted engage on you around mid into the Baron play, into the Quadra that got this done for TSM.
Yeah, so at the point in the game, it was pretty hard for them to like just run at me and just win because I have a Lulu, I have Cleanse, I have Flash, Gale Force, I have so many tools. So like Thresh is really hard to play versus our comp, so we just kind of ran at him and we just killed him. And I don't know, we just got Baron after. Yeah.
How did it feel when you were able to perform in the way we've seen you do time and time again, right, on this carry to secure it for the team in the end at the Nexus?
I feel really good when it comes to these type of comps where I'm put on the spotlight and other teammates are relying on me, like a Lulu, like Huni in this case. And I don't know. We practice this. We've been in a situation before where it seems like the game is lost, but it's actually not. It's actually part of a plan. But yeah.
A couple of games back to back with some similarities in those comps, so we see that practice coming through. You're on TSM now. What has this split been like for you thus far? Obviously, there have been some bumps along the way.
Yeah, so it's a rough start. We started 0-4. We got our first win today. And a lot of stuff happened. It's already 3 weeks in. I need to play with 2 different supports, so that's kind of whack already. But whatever we do, whichever support we do end up playing with, keep going forward. I just hope we have a good momentum from this.
Yeah, tell me a bit more about playing with Yursan specifically, stepping in. How much time did you have to try and synergize a bit before coming to stage?
It actually was fine. Even though we got only like 1 week's worth of practice, it seems like he fit into the team well because I think he knows Spica and Huni from last year, so they're like already like kind of friends. And actually, today, when we decided to push mid, Yursan was the one yelling to push mid. They have no way, bot. He said, trust me, and then we just listened, and then it was a good angle from him.
Yeah, always great to have that coming from the support in those moments. It sounds like there's a bit of uncertainty, moving forward and what things are going to look like. But looking at match by match in the coming weeks, then, what are you focusing on in terms of this team growing together and the successes that you hope to find?
So probably what we have to work on first is our teamwork. I think it's not the individual skill that we're lacking necessarily. I think it's more about like being on the same page and then like being able to adapt in multiple cases. Because since we do have 2 rookies, so like they don't have the most knowledge to like always be on the spot, perfect decision making. So I think we just need more time and experience, and it will be fine.
And you're actually pretty fresh yourself, only a couple years under your belt, but stepping into a veteranship role in that sense. Tactical, thank you for giving us that lovely quadra kill in the end, and for stopping by in the interview.
No problem.
All right, more to break down on this game. The first TSM victory on the books for the Spring Split. So let's head on over to the State Farm Analyst Desk.
Thank you very much, LeTigress. TSM shutting me up a little bit. I'll admit, I came in, remember, I asked, all right, let's remove victory from the table and let's put some metrics up there.
How about we just get to a dub?
How about let's just get a dub?
Boom.
Just like that. Boom.
Yep.
Win on the board for TSM. It definitely wasn't clean. That's fine. We didn't expect it to be. But over Immortals, as we moved into that easier strength of schedule, that's what we were looking to do. All that said, Emily, take a look at this draft.
Yeah.
And the two picks that jump out to me is the Udyr Hecarim matchup.
Yeah, so we're back to Udyr Hecarim. I'm sure everyone's super jazzed.
It's been 12 months. It's about time.
Yeah.
The other thing that we see here is TSM returning to the Smite support top strategy with Huni on the Lulu, and then also Tactical's Jinx, who does end up taking over this game. And that's really important because if we look at their previous game, as we mentioned, even though they narrowly lost, Tactical almost beasted that entire game too.
Yeah, I think the front-to-back teamfight comp is still a very easy execution. You have Ori, Lulu, you have frontline with the Udyr, and then some CC with the Nautilus. And so if the Jinx is protected, at any point in the game, you can win teamfights. It's kind of what we saw.
Yeah, I actually just really loved IMT side of the draft and how they saw a 5-pick and went for Camille, right? So many times every week we've seen this strategy come from the opposing team, this time from TSM. We're like, split push, all in from that one, put yourself on side lanes, and they have two of those options in Ahri and Camille. And to kind of like, you're right, I would actually say that this was a clean game for IMT up until a point, and then they made successive decision-making that got them to a hole.
So this is one quick adaptation that TSM did make. We talked about how teams reacted to TSM running this strategy. I actually really liked this early dive. Again, not perfect execution of it, but this is very much worth, especially since, you know, we didn't have a similar level 1. They did opt into split map, and this is taking advantage of taking over that entire bot side of the map.
And you see the eggs put in his basket. Like Raz said, though, Revenge was getting fed on the other side. So when you take a look at how far ahead the Camille got, it was actually pretty substantial. She grabbed every single turret through the first, 20 minutes, I think it was.
All 4 or something like that. It was all Camille.
I mean, yeah.
Boom,
look
and adding one more turret to it.
But Raz, this is where I would say, yeah, you take a look, take a snapshot of the midway point of the game, right? And you're starting to see the TSM base in tatters. And that's where, at that point, it felt unwinnable, and yet they still navigated out of it.
Yeah, just kind of specifically hitting the fact that it's a gold difference at 20 compared to the Jinx, because obviously TSM is going to be funneling as much gold as they can into the Jinx.
Right.
And so, it was a good call, even going into Hullbreaker Camille, putting her on sides and just making it difficult for TSM to ever get a group fight. Even adding on top of it, it was a Cloud Soul, so they're okay, we don't need to fight for that, actually. We just need to play our game. And it was good. The problem were, this was a good fight from IMT, a bad commitment from TSM that got him in the hole.
This is what scared me at this point, was because they felt like they were not 100% sure how they wanted to play the game out. You know, the decision-making wasn't quite there. And here they are getting pressed up into Immortals base.
Yeah.
You know, 320 minutes in a very dangerous situation. They're actually going to end up getting aced through this play. And so when you're watching this, you know, from the TSM fan perspective, you're like, okay, we're still obviously trying to integrate Yursan. You're expecting a loss. They end up taking double inhibitors off the back of this because they got the Baron soon after. And this game looked doomed. I thought for sure TSM was not going to win after this play.
Yeah, that happens 19 minutes in. Okay, wrap it up. Go home.
Yep. I was actually saying that. I was like, all right, when's TSM? Let's get this out of here. And they actually managed to come back.
Tactical, heroic. So it all comes full circle to Tactical here in the final fights on the Jinx with the support from the squad.
I'm also glad that we got that little insight from Tactical that Yursan was a part of this play, just being like, you know what, we can push and win. There are a lot of mistakes from IMT that we saw that led to this point too, where again, miscommunications in team fights, someone going in one by one and kind of dying instead of regrouping and taking the time to pull off those team fights to make sure they're picking off the Jinx. And then here, we just see Tactical is untouched and doing a lot of damage.
Yeah, so let's iron out the 3 specific moments in which IMT literally threw the game. So there was the first one where, they were diving the Nexus turrets when Turtle already had died, so they lost that one. The Hecarim ulti mid lane, that one was also played poorly. And then the last one is, of course, trying to go for the split play. Yeah, so that one...
Split-second decision at the end there, that one's tough.
Without the minion wave, so
exactly.
that one blows.
Through.
They could have been an easy one,
man.
Mark, we need to acknowledge the damage graphs that we just saw. Now, I realize there was a Lulu in the top lane, and so that's going to aid some of these numbers. But as Tactical picks up player of the game, he also sported a 70% damage share, which is the highest ever damage share that we've had out here on the LCS stage. So yes, there was a Lulu there helping in that by also dealing less damage herself, but still 70%?
It's insane. You have the tank Udyr not doing that much damage, so it's, like you said, inflated by the comp a little bit, but I do want to give credit to Tactical on one of those throws in the mid lane one in particular. Destiny went in first and got absolutely chunked out so hard. The top lane dive that was forced was, again, Tactical gale forcing on top. To put pressure onto WildTurtle. And so I think Tactical in all these plays also made something to make the enemy make a mistake.
And this is off the back of, sure, a loss versus Golden Guardians, but they could have won it off the back of Tactical. So 2 games in which he's coming out as the hero for this team.
We asked for TSM to show something that would give us faith, and I think they delivered with that victory just then. On the other side of this break, though, the core of North America returns to the arena opposite his fiercest competition when Team Liquid take on Evil Geniuses. See you here.
2 dead on TSM, 3 dead on TSM. They're trying to fire back. Tactical's got the rockets, but they don't do it. Immortal defending the Nexus now, but it's 4-4. TSM's going for the end. Tactical's under pressure. Wild Growth keeps him alive. Tactical being focused, but not enough. From the maul, death rises TSM.
This is a league built on speed and precision, where everything needs to perform at a pro level, especially your hardware.
They block the road. They want to complete the final piece of the puzzle. They don't have enough damage for it, but who cares? It's all a formality, baby. The winner of LCS Lock-In.
Even if you're hard stuck plat, like me, forever. Roccat, the official mouse and keyboard of the LCS.
This is the sort of pride that gets you in those big moments, allows you to take down giants.